Hi, I'm Effie and today I'm going to be digging into a little bit of the data about my reading in 2023. This is going to be a video kind of in two parts. Like, it's going to be one video, but like the first part I'm going to be talking about one thing or talking one way, and the second part another way. Wow, ramble much. Essentially, the first part's going to be qualitative data, the second part's going to be quantitative. So it's going to be reading survey, reading superlatives, whatever you want to call it, and then we'll get into just the pure numbers because I am an absolute geek and I love looking at data and numbers in that way. So I have my answers to the reading survey up on my laptop. My laptop is very low on battery, so I'm not going to be going into too much detail, but let's just get straight into that. So, book you were excited about and thought you were going to love, but didn't, and that's Gotta Be Blow Part 2 by November Sweets. Part 1 was just so good, hit so hard, and then Part 2 just didn't quite meet those same expectations. New author you discovered in 2023, and for that I'm going to go for a writing duo, and that is V. Keeland and Penelope Ward. I really enjoy the way that they write together. I haven't read any books that they've wrote individually, but I am interested in seeing if I like more of their books as a duo, and then also if I like the books they've written individually. It may be a upcoming vlog project at some point in the future, so if that's something you're interested in seeing, please feel free to subscribe. The best book from a genre you don't typically read or is outside of your comfort zone, and for that I'm gonna have to say Beached and Breached by Vera Valentine. It's what I've been dubbing, I don't know if there's an actual name for it, but I've been dubbing them object romances, essentially books where the love interest is not human but not an alien, or I was going to say a shifter, but like shifting does form part of some of the books in this hyper specific genre. But yeah, Beach and Breach, absolutely adored. Most unputdownable book you read in 2023, easily Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. It was one of those audiobooks that once I started, I just could not stop listening to. The book that I read in 2023 that I'm most likely to reread in 2024. For this one, I'm going to like slightly cheat because I may not reread it in 2024, but that's because I already reread it at the end of 2023. So the first time that I read these, and it's a duology, so I'm cheating again, but it's a Cruel Arrangement and A Dirty Business by Tejan. I read these for the first time, I think in June or July of last year, and then in December I reread them. So I feel like that's a fair one because like 6 months later and I'd already reread the duology. Love them, by the way. Most beautifully written book that I read in 2023, easily On the Savage Side by Tiffany McDaniel. Most thought-provoking book that you read in 2023, I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't say Palestine by Joe Sacco. This focuses around, I think it's the first intifada in Palestine, so it's 90s, early noughties, where Joe Sacco visited Palestine and spoke to a whole heap of people. He did also speak to some Israeli people, and I think that actually was quite interesting because you could see the massive disparity between the lives and the discourse of the Palestinians versus the Israelis. And you know, whilst I'm very much like a supporter of Palestine and have been for several years, I think it wasn't until I read this book that I got a lot of the nuance and the discourse in terms of like things like the olive trees. Like, obviously I knew about the destruction of the olive trees because that's one of the big things that we have been hearing about these last few months. Okay, so I'm just editing this video and I realised that I've completely minced my words here. Like, obviously, we're not just hearing about olive trees being destroyed. I have no idea why I said the words that I said. Like, we've been hearing about the thousands and thousands of Palestinians that have been murdered in a genocide committed by Israel. I think the point that I'm trying to make, and that I continue to make in this wee bit where I'm speaking about trees, is the duality of things, that people can kind of care about something that's only one, but they don't care about the millions that have been destroyed. I feel like I'm still not fully getting my words across, but let me be completely unambiguous. Ceasefire now, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Hopefully that gets across my point a bit more than whatever I was going on about here. But what struck me was the way that it was telling the story of how important and significant these olive trees were to these families. And it struck me that around the end of last year, I think, a tree in the northeast of England that was in the Sycamore Gap was destroyed, and there was just like massive outcry in the UK. And I was like, I really hope we have the same energy for the olive trees in Palestine. And that was just a thought I had, but there was a lot of other things. The tea, if you've read Palestine, when I say tea, you'll know what I mean. But like, the tea was such a integral part and really enjoyable. I do think the style of the graphic novel wasn't the best, but like, really like eye-opening and interesting to read. An author that I can't believe I waited until 2023 to read has got to be Salman Rushdie. I really enjoyed reading Victory City for the Goodreads Choice Awards video that I did last year, and yeah, it was just good, and I'm definitely want to read more Salman Rushdie in the future. The next question is favourite quote of the year. However, I don't have any to hand and my reading journal's in the other room, so I will put like a wee clip of a few favourite quotes here. Stop punishing yourself for being someone with a heart. You cannot protect yourself from suffering. To live is to grieve. You are not protecting yourself by shutting yourself off from the world. You are limiting yourself. Most of us can hide our greatest hurts and longings. It's how we survive each day. We pretend the pain isn't there, that we are made of scars instead of wounds. You saved my life. I've saved yours. I think you're ahead on that count. No, I don't mean in the big ways. I mean the little rescues, laughing at my jokes, forgiving me when I was foolish, never trying to make me feel small. It doesn't matter if it's next month or next year or 10 years from now. Those will be the things I remember when I see you again. A witch is not a pointy hat or a broom or warts. A witch is merely a woman who is punished for being wiser than a man. That's why they burned her. They tried to burn away her power because a woman who says more than she's supposed to say and does more than she's supposed to do is a woman they'll try to silence and destroy. You are an imperfect human, just trying to live. I would never look down on you for that. If one day you decide you want to change, then I will be here to help you through whatever that looks like. The book that shocked you the most has got to be Fallen Thorns by Harvey Oliver Baxter. I'm not sure if it's already going to be out at the point this video goes up. It comes out in January 2024. But there's an incredibly shocking moment in this book and like pure emotional damage, 100%. Favourite book that you read in 2023 by an author that you'd read from previously. And I'm just going to go with Our Dark Duet by V. Schwab. I really enjoy the Monsters of Verity duology. A book that was the most fun to read has got to be Vampire Menstrual Syndrome, the first cycle by S.C. Hunter. There's something about it that's just so entertaining, and it was fun to be along for the ride. A book that made you cry in 2023, Lost in the Moment and Found by Shauna Maguire. The story of the main character in this book is different from like my own personal story, but also I could see parallels to my experience, and it was just really beautiful. But also because I could see the parallels, like I connected with the character on like a deeper level, and it was cathartic crying, but it was crying nonetheless. A hidden gem of the year, I'm going to go with Sanctuary Cities by Charlotte Amelia Poe, as it's one of 2 books that I read last year that are unpublished. I really wish this book was published though, because I want more people to be able to read it. I really enjoyed it. A book that made you most mad. There is a caveat that this doesn't necessarily have to be a book you didn't like, but I'm going to go with Mr. Magic by Kirsten White. I wanted to like this. It sounded good. And like if I liked it, it was like a second chance for Kirsten White. But for me, it just didn't work. Now, before we get into the content-specific questions, 2024 release you've already read and recommend to everyone. Well, so these are all the 2024 releases I read in 2023, and there's only 4 of them, so I'm just going to touch on them all quickly. So we've got An Affinity for Formaldehyde by Chloe Spencer. This is a horror novella. A queer woman returns to her hometown to find that her ex-best friend wants to marry her grandmother, and her grandmother wants to steal her body in order to have babies with her ex-best friend. It sounds more complicated than it is. It's visceral, it's brutal, it's weird, and it's absolutely fantastic and highly recommend. Fallen Thorns by Harvey Oliver Baxter. A young man, a couple of months into his first year at university, ends up being killed and turned into a vampire. There's cosmic weirdness going on, there's emotional damage, there's beautiful queer relationships, there's coming to terms with being aro ace, all around brilliant full package, and recommend. I recommend them all, to be honest. Mislaid in Parts Half Known by Shauna Maguire. This always comes with the disclaimer that there is nowhere near as many dinosaurs as the cover makes you believe. It's more of a quest through different worlds, and I enjoyed that. Also, it's following the same character that you were following in the previous book, Lost in the Moment and Found. I realise I'm talking really fast. I really don't want my laptop to die before I finish this portion. And it's great. Visited worlds I didn't expect to visit, and just connected with it on a lot of levels. The Invocations by Crystal Sutherland. There's a serial killer on the loose in London, and women are being killed, and their invocations, which are pacts they've made with creatures in order to gain magical powers, are being stolen. We've got 3 young women trying to kind of track down the murderer, and also they're in danger. So we've got a young woman who is looking to bring her sister back from the dead. There's the young woman who kind of writes invocations for women. And then there is a young woman who has multiple invocations, and the creatures that are bound to her are not happy about it. It has a lot of interesting conversations, and I think it's going to be a massive hit. I will say, I think part of the reason this wasn't quite as much of a hit for me is because I'd read 2 other similar kind of thematic books quite close to reading this one. Like, it's a really good book, and like, it's YA, whereas I think the other two were adult. But like, it's good, it's enjoyable. I do like Crystal Sutherland's writing, and I think it's going to be quite popular this year. And the rest of the questions are to do with content and the bookish community. So, new favourite booktuber that you found in 2023. I'm going to go for a Virgo Rising Reads. I've really enjoyed watching Elise's content, and kind of I'm finding that I'm like, okay, when's Elise going to next bring out a video? I can't wait to watch the next one, and it's lovely when that happens. So like, please go check out Elise, and I am looking forward to seeing what she does next. Favourite book photo you took in 2023. I'm going to scoot over here a sec, and it is this photo. I haven't actually published it yet, but yeah, this photo here that I took of, I think it's called the St. Anthony's Ruins. It's a location in House of Hollow, and I was like, okay, I need to take a photo of the ruins with the book when I visit Edinburgh next. Oh, my laptop is literally about to die. Okay, so best bookish event you participated in. Schwab's Threads of Power event in November. Loved it. Love that Schwab seems to be in their villain era. Most challenging thing about creating bookish content this year. My depression was so bad and I was so inconsistent. And linked to that, one thing I want to accomplish with my content and reading this year is to be more consistent. Most popular video this year is technically my complete Discworld Collectors library. It got more views this year than like any other individual video got. Like, what am I saying? So the like, obviously it got more views than any other video, but like this my complete Discworld Collectors library video is, so I'm going to move back to the middle, is a video that I made in 2021, and despite the fact that it was made in 2021, it got more views in 2023 than any other video. I think it got about 5,000 views, whereas my top video that I made in 2023 that got the most views was my virginity as a plot device video, which I'm really surprised with. Like, I enjoy when my videos get a bit more traction, because I'm here for, you know, building community. I want to talk about books. Like, that's what I'm here for. Like, yes, it'd be lovely if down the line I could have this as a source of income, but for me, my primary purpose has always been to, you know, have people to talk to about books and be able to have conversations. So it's lovely when I get a video like that where people are, you know, chatting and watching and engaging. And it was a really pleasant surprise because it was such a random video for me to create. So I love that people connected with it. I'm realizing my laptop wasn't that close to dying, so I apologize that I zoomed through some of these questions. And the final question that I have to talk about is a video you wished got a little more love. And for me, even though it is my 10th most viewed video of 2023, my Fragile Threads of Power video, like my full book review one, I realised as I said that I had 2 videos on it, because I feel like I put a lot of time into going into the detail and talking about nuances and theories and the way that things had been foreshadowed or clever hints or going into deep about these characters. And I feel like I put a lot more time into putting that review together than, I mean, I probably should put that much into a lot of my reviews, but then I think, you know, anyone that makes content will know this is the case, but individual book reviews don't do so well. And like, so to put that much into every single book review is just not doable. And yeah, like, yes, I would like to have more videos where I just talk about one book or a few books, and I think I'm gonna have a bit more of that this year with my content. But yeah, I went off track there. Anyway, that's all the qualitative responses. Now let's get into the quantitative responses. So this is just me going through my stats and kind of talking about the numbers, really. Oh, that's my laptop dying. So that worked out quite nicely, actually. So at the end of this video, I will have a screen recording of my Storygraph year in review. So like, stay tuned at the end if you'd like to see that. Like, people sometimes ask me if I use Goodreads, and like, I technically have Goodreads, but unless an author, because I get a lot of ARCs, unless an author specifically asks me to duplicate my review onto Goodreads, Storygraph is my primary book reviewing community, whatever, vehicle. And I don't know if this is the first year they've done a year in review, but like, I like that it produces all these charts and stuff, so I thought I would include a recording of the one that it made for me for 2023. But also, I'm kind of a type A personality, so I have a spreadsheet that has like all my books. I record how many pages I read every day. Like, I have a lot of data, like all my notes. So I'm just going to run through like the data I've put together, and then you can see my Storygraph data at the end. So first off, there were 230 entries in my spreadsheet. 40 of them were DNFs, 2 were extracts, 1 was fanfic. There were 29 rereads, and 178 were other. So basically just like normal books, like books I read and finished, and they were full-length books. I mean, actually there's a few like short story type things, like bonus content, but you know, that's encapsulated within the 138, because I find it like there's a line that is very difficult to draw between like what's going to count as a book and not, and I just say that it all counts, which it does. It's all reading. So as for the format breakdown, there were 42 audiobook entries, which include 2 DNFs and 8 rereads. There were 117 ebook entries, which includes 22 DNFs, 2 extracts, 1 fanfic, and 9 rereads. I don't know why I'm holding up my fingers. I'm not holding up the right numbers. There were 44 physical books, which included 12 DNFs and 3 rereads. And then of the mixed formats, we've got 53 audiobook and ebook entries, which includes 3 DNFs and 6 rereads, 11 audiobook and physical entries, which includes 3 rereads, and 1 ebook and physical read, which was DNF. Oh, that'll be the Library at Mount Char. And then 2 entries where I read across all 3 formats of audiobook, ebook, and physical. In terms of length, the shortest book I read was The Girl from the Storm, which was 10 pages. That was actually bonus content for House Apollo. So the shortest like actual book I read was Blood is Another Word for Hunger, which was 24 pages. And the longest book I read was A Day of Fallen Night, which was 868 pages. And then the breakdown of length, if we exclude DNFs, extracts, fanfiction, and rereads, I read 26 books that were under 100 pages, 19 that were between 100 and 200 pages, 29 that were 201 to 300 pages, 69 that were 301 to 400 pages, 31 that were 401 to 500 pages, and 24 books that were over 500 pages long. My most read authors were V. Schwab with 15 books, or 9 books if you exclude rereads, Crystal Ciolek with 12 books, Lee Bardugo with 9 books, Sierra Simone with 8 books, or 5 books if you exclude rereads, Sarah J. Maas, who would be completely excluded if you exclude rereads, T.L. Swan with 6 books, or 5 books if you exclude rereads, Seanan McGuire with 5 books, or 2 books, I think, if you exclude rereads. I don't actually have it noted because Seanan McGuire doesn't make the most read list if I exclude rereads. Vera Valentine with 5 books, and V. Keeland and Penelope Wood with 5 books, or 3 books if you exclude rereads. I read from something by an author that was new to me a total of 116 times in the year of 2023. The sources for the books that I read, and bear in mind that some books I read in multiple formats, so this may not add up to the total number of entries because some things I had like 3 variations of, if that makes sense. So I got 2 of the books from Amazon First Reads. 5 of the books were samples from Amazon. 1 book was from AO3. 5 books were from an author website, which includes signing up to their newsletter to get bonus content. 15 books were bought Audible books. 4 books were directly from the author, which I think are all ARCs. 1 book was directly from the publisher. 81 books were from Kindle Unlimited. 22 books were through the library. 40 books were from NetGalley. 15 books were owned ebooks. 51 were owned physical books. 40 books were from Scribd. 2 books were from Spotify, and 3 books came from the Tor website. Of the 270 entries, 155 of them I either did own or do currently own, and 44 of them were ARCs. The publication year of the books I read, and for this I've excluded DNFs, extracts, fanfiction and rereads. There was 1 book published in 1897. Feel free to comment if you can guess what any of these books are. 1 book published in 1976, 1 in 1991, 1 in 1996, 1 in 2003, 1 in 2006, 1 in 2007, 2 in 2011, 1 in 2012, 2 in 2013, 6 in 2014, 3 in 2015, 7 in 2016, 9 in 2017, 9 in 2018, 15 in 2019, 12 in 2020, 15 in 2021, 31 in 2022, 73 in 2023, 4 in 2024, and 2 of the books are unpublished. Of the new releases that I read, so we're including 2023 and 2024 releases, 31 of them were ARCs. The rating breakdown is as follows: 53 5 stars, 63 4 stars, 38 3 stars, 27 2 stars, and 1 1 star. And those star ratings are based on the tier rankings that I did last year, as I lost track of rating books very early on in the year. The genre breakdown is 14 contemporary, 66 fantasy, 35 horror, 7 mystery, 5 non-fiction, 28 romantasy, 2 speculative, 2 crime, 3 historical fiction, 9 literary fiction, 4 mythology, 70 romance, 9 science fiction, and 16 thrillers. The total number of pages that I read in 2023, and this is equivalent pages because all reading is valid, was 78,015 pages. The mean number of pages that I read every day was 214. The mode was 0 because there are 9 days in 2023 where I didn't pick up a single book. The median number of pages was 166. The range was 0 to 1,537, and that was the 4th of June. And I will point out I was in a really bad depressive place on that day, and that's why it is so incredibly high. And the standard deviation for any geek out there is 199 pages. And the final statistic that I've got is a fun little one that I just thought I'd throw in there, and I was like, how much did Kindle Unlimited save me? So the amount that Kindle Unlimited cost me in the year of 2023, because the price varied a little bit and then I got a deal at one point in the year, was £83.40. Bearing in mind the price that I said I paid for Kindle Unlimited, the total cost of the ebooks and audiobooks was £330.23. And the way that I calculated this was anything that was a reread within the same year, I only charged myself once for the book, and any book that I used the audio for, so some Kindle Unlimited books, you kind of borrow the audiobook at the same time. So anytime that I did the hybrid, I recorded the price of the ebook and I recorded the price that Amazon listed as with narration. These prices were all correct as of the 6th of January, and I recorded all of these prices on the same day, the 6th of January. 2024. So the total amount that I saved via Kindle Unlimited was £246.83. So that is all of the data for my reading year of 2023. Hopefully between this, my best video, my worst video, surprising, disappointing, I'm sure there's other videos where I was reviewing what I read in 2023. Hopefully between all of them, you have a really good idea of the books that I read and just all the ins and outs. But if you do have any questions about my reading last year, or I don't know, specific books, feel free to leave me a comment. I really love chatting to people. I will get better at replying to comments, I promise. But as I said earlier, I will have a screen recording of my Storygraph stats at the end. So stay watching if you would like to see that after I say goodbye. But if not, thank you for watching. So until next time, love you. Bye.